Hey everyone, how you doing? I've talked about my black olives before and discussed them and showed you what they look like when I did my video on what the nursery looks like. They're finally filling out very nicely. We did a class on them. The first class was very nice. We're actually going to have another class with Rodney Clemens on the end of October. And what I wanted to do today was wire a couple of them out and just show you how really nice these trees can become. A lot of people, when they look at this type of material, they don't really know what to do with it, or they say, well, that's a bonsai all by itself. Well, they're not. These are pre-bonsai. If you had taken a look at these in April, we had cut these really hard tool line and have been repeatedly trimming them specifically to wire them and shape them now. This is a good example of a nice tree. The way they sit, we usually retail them for $150. Once they're wired and shaped, they're at a whole different level. We will be doing these in October for those of you that are local. Rodney Clemens, a guest artist from up north, will be here discussing a few different varieties. This is one of them. And these are going to be fantastic little shohin trees, what we call under 9-inch bonsai trees. So let me just show you. I picked my tree. I'll show it to you in just a second. Okay, thanks. Hi everybody, how you doing? We talked about earlier what we were going to wire and shape and trim these black olives, Bonsai spinosa. I just wanted to kind of show you how we go about doing this. These are the exact trees that are on the website right now. Obviously, as these guys get wired and shaped, they're going to go off the website as unstyled trees because they won't be unstyled anymore. You can see these were cut to lines, but we didn't do any branch selection or final fronts. We just put them in a bonsai pot to get them nice and established in a small container in bonsai soil. We did set them to a rudimentary line, but that isn't necessarily going to be the finished line because now that they've grown all their branches, we may change the front. This one, however, this is going to be the front. What we're going to do is go in there and cut all the branches that I know I'm not going to use, that I'm not going to have in my final design. Some of them may be kept on currently, but in the future will be taken off. But you'll see a lot what they'll look like in a little bit. So right now I'm going to go in there and trim off all the excessive branches that I'm not going to use, and I'll see you in just a minute. Thank you. Hey everybody, how you doing? You can see that we took the branches that we knew we weren't going to keep. The reason why I took them off is anything below the first branch that was going to be my most powerful, thickest branch was removed. Any excessive branches that were coming from the same location. Next we're going to wire this tree out from top to bottom and position the branches. All of the trees that we have on the website and all the stuff that we try to do in finished containers will be at this initial level the first year or two to get them healthy and ready to go. Then we'll usually do classes, or if we don't do classes, we'll wire them and shape them and slowly progress them on for bonsai. Here in Central Florida, to get a black olive in a bonsai pot or in a training pot this large, typically takes between 8 and 15 years, depending on how well you grow it, how far you let it grow. Once you put them in a bonsai pot, the trunks almost stop thickening completely. So I'll have them in a larger pot for a while. You can see my friend Mike Rogers, he's actually working on wiring and shaping this tree. It's about an hour past where this one is. You can kind of see how everything's individually wired from top to bottom that he kept. He doesn't leave any branches unwired. So everything will be completely manipulated and changed. And this is actually, we're going to have the front changed on this one because once the branches were brought out, there was a flaw in the base which would be remedied at next year's repotting. But we're going to get to wiring now, and I'll show you a little bit more of that in a little bit. All right? Thanks. Basically what I did is went in and did some detail prep work so I can put some wires on here. Looked at how thick I'm going to need the wire. Typically, people ask how thick a wire should you use. I usually feel the branch and then I feel the wire. Ideally, the wire is going to run about 1/3 of the thickness of the branch, but if it's a real flexible variety, when I feel the branch and I feel the wire, if they have about the same amount of resistance to bending, it's usually what I'll end up using. This one right here is a 2mm, and this first branch is going to be the thickest branch that I'm going to wire, except for the actual main trunk line that I'm going to continue up. Again, I usually use one piece of wire for 2 branches or 2 sub branches, and I usually cut it 1.5 times the length. The first branch is going to go on the first, the first piece of wire is going to go on the first branch and then be wired all the way up to the top. And then I'm just going to work my way up using one piece of wire for 2 sub branches. Again, I usually go 1.5 times the length. As you can see, this is about the same distance as right here, and then I add another half. Start in the middle and work my way up. I always hold the wire and hold the branch as I'm wiring it up, because I don't want to strip the bark. Also, I don't want any large gaps. I like to pretend there's a piece of paper between the wire and my branch. And when it forks, when the branch goes from 1 to 2, I'll usually go 2 full lengths past where it forks, and then I'll stop and I'll go with a thinner wire. And then I'll use a technique where I run parallel to the thicker wire and then run on 2 sub branches. And then I'll go till it forks again. I'll go 2 full lengths past where it forks a second time, and I'll use even thinner wire. As I go further out the branch, I progressively go thinner and thinner wire. That's the best way to use the least amount of wire and have the most amount of efficiency. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one piece of wire to these 2 sub branches here. So basically the whole branch will have been wired. And if you see where it forks here, I can actually use 1mm again and run these all the way out to the end. So it'll be wired all the way out to the end and all the ends of this branch. It's a little bit tedious, but that's how you can manipulate every one of these branches. Every one of these trees that we have for sale have tons of branches like this at this point to work. You saw a quick close-up of all of them in the beginning of this preview. I'm going to just wire this out for a few minutes, and we'll come back in just a second and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Thank you. Okay, so we got all the branches wired. People always say you cut an awful lot off. Well, basically when we do the initial wiring, we're setting the skeletal structure. We're getting rid of all the branches that we know we're not going to use, and we're keeping all the branches that we know we're going to keep. If you take a look at it, you can see that all branches are going to hit the area where they get full sun. They're going to get nice and compact. We're getting a lot of back budding. We're going to be trimming this during the growing season, usually once every 6 weeks, 2 months. We don't want to let this grow out again like this and get so dense that the inner branches start to get shaded out and die back. We're going to keep the individual layers. Remember, bonsai trees have layers. Although they'll be more three-dimensional layers, they'll have layers. This particular tree, if you take a look at it, I don't know how good the backdrop is, but it'll have a rounded canopy because it's a tropical. We're going to have it wider than it is taller. It's going to be a really nice showing. This is about 7.5 inches. But you can see the individual pads, and the whole tree has 5 branches. But that's all it needs. It's going to be a cute little tree. So we're going to continue to do a few of these. We're not going to do all of them because we want to have a lot for you, the viewer. If you decide you want to try your hand in black olives, we'll have probably 20 of them up on the website. This is how we're going to be doing a lot of our trees, but we're going to leave a lot raw as well for the consumer if they'd like to purchase one and have it on their own. Right now we're running a special on these to the end of the month. And we're also going to be doing a video shortly on some other really nice tropical varieties that we have at the shop that I have plenty of, that I just want to kind of show you how good of material they really are. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you all soon. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask on YouTube, or you can send me an email. The link should be on our screen right now. It's linked to our website. Also has my email address, www.schleisbonsai.com. This link should take you right to the website. You can also email me at schleibonsai@aol.com. We'll have that on there as well. Please like and share if you like the video, and we'll be sure to continue to be putting more up shortly. Thank you very much, guys. These are some of the trees that we just wired today. I just want to kind of give you guys a little look.
I did that when I was young. You know, I worked everything.
And these are all going to be on the website if any of you are interested in purchasing the finished works.